Nicole. I'm here today for ThermOWeb using some fun Simple Stories products and our iCraft Deco Foil Transfer Gel. So I'm going to have a few products here that I'm going to use. I have a die cut file as well as the purple tape, some foam squares and tape runner adhesive. I have the transfer gel, the champagne color Deco Foil, and a stencil here I had for my stash. So I'm going to use that purple tape just to secure the stencil in place. I want to use the transfer gel to apply through that stencil, so those little polka dots will kind of peek up on my page. So I'm just taking a little spatula here, as you can see, and just rubbing in that transfer gel inside that surface of the stencil. Goes on really easily. I don't want to fill the whole stenciled area, so I've just done part, and you can see that purple tape held it in place nicely. I'm going to set that aside to dry, but I'm going to take that same transfer gel and apply it to the top of my die cuts, kind of like swirl piece here. So I'm just taking that same spatula and I'm just applying a thin coat, using this craft mat here to keep everything clean. And I'm just going to peel this up gently with a little paper piercer and set that aside now to dry. And then you can see how easily that extra transfer gel just cleans up. Use your scraper and just clean that up, put it back into the jar, and you virtually have not a lot of mess. So both of those items need to set aside to dry for a few minutes, till that kind of white creamy glaze goes into a clear color. So while I'm going to do that, I'm going to add some 3D foam squares to the back of my photos and get a few other things ready for my page. So my polka dots here are almost dry. My swirl here that I've die cut is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a piece of that transfer foil down to size, and I'm going to run that through my heated laminator. It's not going to take very long. While that goes through, I'm going to make sure I have enough foil ready to go for that polka dot too. Alright, so here comes my swirl. That is something I'm going to put to embellish the top of my sun shape that I've also die cut on my digital machine. I'm just going to use a little bit of this liquid mixed media adhesive just to get that put in place, and then I will also set that aside to dry. So a little bit of drying time, but don't worry, it's all worth it, and it really only takes a few minutes. Just a couple thin lines of that mixed media adhesive. I'm going to pick it up with some tweezers and flip that pretty foiled design onto that front of my die cut sun. So really simple and an easy way to add that foil touch to some simple pattern paper. So I'm going to take that same champagne color and my parchment, and my parchment's not quite big enough to fit over my whole piece, and I didn't have a second one out, so I just grabbed another one here from a different from a clear toner sheet pack. And you can see once that went through the laminator, I have this fun kind of splotchy polka dot area. I'm going to use that as part of my sun kind of area, and I'm not quite sure why there's black lines on my page now, but I'm going to worry about that later and just call that an embellishment opportunity. Because this has been foil, it's actually going to resist this color that I'm going to rub on. So I have an art crayon here, and I'm just going to use a stencil brush and rub some of that yellow and kind of like golden color around where my sun shape is going to go on my page. And so that's just going to kind of add that yellow burst in there, and it nicely goes over top of the foil. There's no trouble at all rubbing that on with the stencil brush. So really simple. I'm going to clean up some of my areas with a eraser. I was hoping I could remove some of that black stuff. Must have been in my laminator. I'm going to have to give that a little cleaning. But it doesn't come off, but that's okay. I have another plan for how to fix that up. So I'm just kind of filling around with my photos now where I want to put everything and trying to decide what else I'm going to do on my page. I have all the foiling done now, so now I want to embellish my photos and get a title on there. So I decided actually at this point to cover up that bottom oopsie that I had. So I'm just going to cut a strip of this paper down for the bottom, and then I'm going to do the same thing and just a thinner piece along the top edge to cover that top little piece there. And that's also going to add a lot of nice color to this project. So very simple to add that rainbow effect along the top and the bottom edges of the page. So I'm going to flip my rainbow so it doesn't quite match the top and the bottom, and stick that in place. So now I'm going to take the backing off all of the foam adhesive. I really like having that dimension, that this is a really nice thicker profile foam adhesive. So I'm going to peel the backing off that and kind of get things settled into place where I want them. And this is kind of at the point where I decided I really didn't want to use 3 photos. I ended up deciding not to use that seashell photo. And so I'm just going to put that off to the side. Instead, I thought that would be a good place for my title. So I have this fun pattern paper from Simple Stories. It has all these really great words in it. And so I'm just going to fussy cut out the word beach here really quick with a pair of scissors and get that going as part of my title for my page. So I'm just going to go around the outer edge, leaving a tiny thin border as evenly as I possibly can so that it looks like it was kind of a pre-made piece. And just a few more steps and I am done. And so now I'm going to take some more of that foam adhesive in behind that title, but I do want to add some neutral color, so I'm going to use this black and white stripe paper. I'm going to tuck that in along my rainbow stripe just to add a bit of an extra little border of color that's not quite so colorful, I guess you could say. I'm going to tuck that along each of those edges and then just add a little detailing with my sewing machine, and that will also help secure them in place too. Alright, so I'm going to trim off my edges with the sewing machine here, and then I'm going to go ahead and just finish getting everything back onto my page. So I'm going to take some foam adhesive again, and I'm going to add that to the back of the fussy cut word. So I'm going to use a mixture of the larger and the smaller squares for this. The smaller ones are really great, just stick in those tiny little areas. Really easy, and then you just peel off the backing, of course, and then you have your own popped up dimensional title. I'm trying to decide what else is going to be part of my title. There's these really fun stickers that I have, so I'm going to use that as part of my title too. So I'm just trying to figure out where I want to place that word beach. So I'm going to end up moving it down a little bit there on my photo. It's going to slightly overlap my photo as well. And just peeling off all the backing from the foam adhesive. And then I'm ready to go to stick that down. Sometimes I do use a paper piercer just so I don't peel it and damage it. Sometimes I find when you peel the backing off, it's really, really sticky, which is fantastic, but sometimes it's a little difficult just to get. So I use a paper piercer, and that allows me to peel it off really nicely. So I'm going to add this sticker as part of my title, and then start filling in some of the bits in the page. I have these other stickers here from Simple Stories. I'm going to use that to fill in my part of my layout, and then I'm going to do some stamping here with some little mini stamps from my stash and some black ink just to finish off my title area. And then I'm going to just wiggle things around a little bit with those stickers. I had fussy cut some of these flowers from another pattern paper, but then I realized there wasn't a lot of palm trees or anything in the photo, so it seemed silly to have flowers in there. So I opted for these fun circle stickers instead that coordinate with the paper collection. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a few of those onto both the left and the right side of my photo and my title there, and just kind of tuck them underneath my photos. This is why I like using the foam adhesive, is because you can add things underneath without having to kind of rip up your design and start over. So it's a really great way to make your photos pop, and that way when you're layering, it's a lot easier just to tuck the edges of things just underneath. So I'm going to add a few more of those circles here. And then I'm still trying to use those flowers that I fussy cut, but I end up just giving up with those. So I'm just playing around again with the stickers and the circles and where I want to put them, and I end up pop dotting a few of those as well with the foam adhesive, just popping those right up over top of similar colors there. More with the flowers. Nicole, stop with the flowers. And then I decided to use these fun sunglass stickers. I thought that would be fun to add to the center of the A in the word beach, so I'm going to foam adhesive that as well. And just keep on going with some of the embellishments on my page. After I stopped recording the video, I did some detail work to that sun shape. I just added some buttons that I've hand stitched, as well as some enamel dots and some stickers. But I really love how that Deco Foil, the champagne color, pops in behind from the stencil, and that yellow art crayon just kind of adds to that yellow pop of color in that top corner of the layout. And that's it for this page. I hope you've enjoying seeing how you can use transfer gel on your next project. Have a great day. Bye-bye.